So first of all, maybe I'll just say thank you so much for, I don't think I've said that to either of you in person yet. I was really amazed and really enjoyed watching the pieces so much, and totally surprised. I knew a little bit what you were going to do because Ute hinted at some things, but yeah, it was really, really beautiful and amazing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll most definitely second that, and it's just such a beautiful solution to this question we're trying to get at of how can we collaborate in this time period and from a long distance, and the solutions you guys came up with are just really powerful and beautiful and so different than the first chapter of this series. You know, it was just a completely different approach, and that was so inspiring to see for me of you know, I think really what we were hoping to get at with this series is different solutions to this sort of problem we've been facing. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. It's like, sorry, my headphones falling apart.
And we know that this was a first time collaboration. Could you say, I mean, this looks like a ton of work, what you put together. So
yes.
Can you let us know when did you start working on these pieces, or how long did it take you, the whole process?
It took ages, right?
Yeah, it took forever.
Actually, we thought we do something which leaves us space for improvisation and being spontaneously, being spontaneous and not getting into intricate composition and editing over a huge distance. But then this also
it ended up being
a huge lot of work.
Totally. Oh my God.
But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I don't know, when did we start? Beginning of May, or?
I think so. I think we met a couple of times and discussed ideas first, and then we kind of decided on doing the projection idea. Yeah.
Mm. And then, you know, we went for walks and took footage, right? And then we discussed that, and then
yeah. I think I was thinking a lot about the voice, and that the voice was dangerous for vocalists to be together in the same room. Like this idea of our breath could kill each other, you know, in the sense. So, I mean, the whole idea is that we're in a different space, you know. How do we safely come together in a space, you know? So I think I was thinking about the idea of having a proxy for each of our bodies, you know, and I think you had the idea of having the projection of each other's faces on our faces.
Yeah, because it was part of my practice to work with projection on my face, you know, as a young artist. And it kind of appeared again when we were discussing the ideas, and then we started developing it together.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned the idea of going on a walk and just like videotaping our walk, because then it showed like the space that we live in to each other, and then you're like, we should project it on our faces, and so like,
so it went like back and forth, and so and
so then I think, go ahead.
And then we had to actually do the recordings, and I looked in my computer. I did tons of recordings just to try, because it's like try and error. You need to figure out what's interesting looking on the face also, and what does something to the face, right? You can't just take any recording. So that was also part of the process.
Yeah, because like taking the recordings, you know, deciding what things would be interesting to record, and then which things actually look good on the face, you know, like they had to have a certain amount of contrast and be interesting, like subject wise, I guess.
And
this was one of the things about the piece that really was really powerful to me, that I mentioned to Magda a bit earlier, was that this act of projecting something on your face, there was really a range of things that it did. Like sometimes it felt like your face was just a screen and this image was on your face, but at other times it felt like it really transformed each of you into a completely different character or something. And there were just a number of different things that happened as I was watching this that were, you know, just so interesting. And it wasn't just it wasn't just one thing. It was, you know, this whole range of possibilities that really came out. Was that something you'd sort of experienced before, Ute, like in the earlier work you had done with this, or did this just kind of arrive in this piece?
No, I guess I've experienced it before, but in different ways. The interesting thing with Carol was that, you know, because we are far apart, so we cannot control every detail or talk about every detail, because we would talk once a week, I think, and then, you know, spend the week on our own. So how can I say this? Yeah, actually also, you know, some recordings have sounds, some don't. With some I more improvise with voice. So then, you know, for example, I would realize when I've done the recording, oh no, I do so much voice, that's going to be really difficult for Carol to add something to it. So she came up, we talked, and, you know, then also about the solution of erasing my voice. And she came up with a really exciting solution, adding, you know, partly erasing my voice and then adding her voice and other sounds. So this is kind of an example which is different for every film, I think, because, you know, some have field recordings, some have voice, some have added sounds on top with our synthesizers. So we kind of found solution on the way. I think that makes it so complex, and not every film being the same concept, right?
Yeah, but we wanted to have something that was a basic idea that kind of made it all gel together, so that it was. So we Ute suggested working on 5-minute pieces each, which really helped me, because otherwise it seemed a bit overwhelming, you know. But like, oh, I can deal with 5-minute pieces, you know, and so you know, it worked out. That helped a lot.
Yeah,
I think.
But the exciting, I think what really enriched the work was the kind of difficult situation also of being far apart and trying to collaborate and trying to find solutions. So, you know, we always went along with what happened and always went into the unknown in a way, I think. It was quite adventurous.
Yeah, I've never projected anything on my face in my life. Just kidding.
So did you work on one piece after the next piece, or did you have several pieces at once that you would be working on, or how was the process?
I mean, I think we focused on doing the video part first, and then and when you suggest doing 5-minute pieces, I just spent some time alone projecting on my face and creating the projections, and then I just sent them to you. So I had 3 pieces. So I think I kind of sent you a chunk of stuff initially,
and vice versa, and then
you went into Ausland and you did your projections, and then you sent me a chunk. So and then we did so it wasn't like one piece after the other. It was more like,
no, it was almost like
it was sort of a chunk, and then we dealt with the sound part of it. That was the last part.
Yeah, I think we just decided. I mean, we did a whole bunch of movies, many more than these 6, and then we decided just to make it easy. We do a kind of solo, which means voice and audio, we both do. And the other ones, we do these vice versa collaboration. So we had, like you said, 3 pieces, but you would decide on our favorite ones without, you know, just on our own, right?
Yeah.
Just 2, and then put it together.
Was there a lot of video material that you recorded that you just ended up not using?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had to like clean my computer off constantly. I mean, videos are really huge. I didn't know.
We probably
new
have
thing.
20 videos each.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So do you imagine doing something with that on your own, or together, or in other contexts? Like, is there something that you take away from that collaboration, so to speak?
I mean, I think it would be interesting to continue working on this project and expanding it somehow. Not sure how, but
Yeah, we were thinking that of extending the collaboration, right?
yes.
And I'm actually taking it to a solo piece, which I was working on at the same time with a makeup designer, making kind of marks on my face. And that started to add, with the makeup and I use very different
I love that.
projections.
That's cool.
I have this makeup and the projection, and sometimes the projection go and it's just the face. So I extend it into a solo actually at the moment.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then we thought of extending our collaboration because we found we had lots of fun also. It was very surprising.
Yeah.
You didn't think it would be fun?
Yes, I did, but we also didn't know we would come up with this kind of stuff, right? I think got footage from Chicago. It was really exciting to see your neighborhood and what you do, like with the ceramic fire and
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit curious, some of the, these very close-up shots of your faces. You both seem to really have a great sensibility for like very subtle gestures, like a film actor or something. Like Carol, I'm thinking of the one with the flames and the numbers like projected on your face, and you do these very subtle things with your face that are so expressive. I'm just kind of curious how much you thought about that at the time in terms of trying to, say, express a particular thing, or if it was really just sort of a spontaneous creation.
I think it was a little bit of both. I feel like I was thinking about it as a composition, and I was also thinking of movement and the movement that you make with your face. That's pretty much what I was thinking. And I felt like when the more of the projections that I was doing on myself and videotaping, the more I was kind of becoming aware that was its own like musical piece, even though it was not sound-based.
Yeah, it was like a score, almost like a score tattooed on your face or something,
Yeah.
Because you react, with that piece with the cake, I would react to the hands or to the stuff that got to the red stuff. I'm not going to tell anything now, but it was like, I think for us at the same time, like an open score or something, right? Where we would react with facial movements. There was not really time to choreograph it. So I guess we both did it quite spontaneously, right?
Yeah, and also part of it for me was just like, if I saw something like the flames, I shouldn't talk about it. Oh wait, no, they've already seen it.
Yeah, this will air after
this is
the piece, so everybody's already seen
it.
Yeah,
forgot. Yeah. Sorry about that, people.
You can spill all the secrets.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically, I wanted the flames to be on my eyes because it looked so cool, so I was thinking visually a lot, mostly not acting wise or theatrically. I was just thinking visually what looked cool, and like I would just move my face, if a duck was coming in here, and like I was trying to like put my face in the position for the image to come in, because part of the projection was going out there, and out there in that ether, in the darkness. So I probably wasn't getting all of the projection on my face because of the shape of it. So I guess
it's true.
That's kind of what I was thinking mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it really helped to have a a camera so I could see what was happening.
As you
Yeah.
were actually doing or recording that
Videotaping it.
piece, like being able to see it
Yeah.
was an important
How it was
feedback.
being,
Oh, yeah.
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 I had a monitor, actually, a quite big monitor,
Oh, that's great.
and looked at myself. Mm.
So it was more of really like a live interactive process with yourself in a way. Like maybe you weren't going back and looking at something after you recorded it and then going back again to record more based on what you saw, but really like a live interactive process.
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah, and also probably partly what you're saying, looking back at it like, oh, that looked really cool, I'll have to do that next time kind of thing. But yeah, mostly just because you'd have no idea what was happening on it if you weren't seeing it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was an interesting process for me because I never really thought about that before, you know? And I was trying to do it with my cell phone and it wasn't really working because I couldn't see myself unless if I did it at a certain, like I couldn't do 4G or whatever, like the highest resolution with the cell phone if it was like facing if the video was facing at my face. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, with your backward facing camera.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly. Thank you. I couldn't think of the terminology, but yeah.
It's funny as performers, I feel like over the last year I mean, this is the first time in my life I was like taking videos of myself and, you know, connecting with people online in that way. And it's interesting how much more conscious in a way I've become of what something looks like or what I look like when I'm performing, having to, you know, deal with that for the first time.
Yeah, it's interesting because, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, the interesting thing was with the projection because I practiced it at home with a mirror because I don't have a camera and a big monitor, was that it actually takes away your personality also, you know, because you merge with that projection and it's like becoming somebody else.
It's a mask.
So for me, was a totally different thing than, you know, like looking at my face or at my person. It was more like I became this chameleon.
Yeah, I felt entirely the same. Yeah, and I liked that aspect of it being sort of a mask that was moving and that you could interact with, and it could cut your face in half or whatever it was doing in an interesting visual way.
Yeah, there was one point where I think one of you was kind of drawing lines almost across your face, and it almost, I mean, it really felt uncomfortable almost because it looked like you were, you know, almost actually slicing or something. I mean, it's really powerful the way it transforms everything. Yeah. I also love the duck one as well, because that was such a sort of unique example of, you know, instead of becoming another creature yourself or just having this projection on your face, it was like your face became a third thing altogether where it's this like pond and these ducks are swimming through it, you know.
Nice.
Quite amazing. Yeah.
I also felt you really explored so many different aspects of that one tool. You know, as you said, Carol, sometimes it looked like a mask to me. Sometimes it was a canvas. Sometimes it was you melted with the background. And I really liked, Ute, that you said you read it as a score. And it had something really very fragile to me in a beautiful way to watch it, to see how you used your face and something, you know, so intimate to also really close up and see these little ducks moving around everywhere. That was yeah, amazing. And I thought it worked so well with the sound that the soundtrack or the music that you made with it or accompanying it or however you want to say it. Really beautiful. Oh, you froze, Carol. You still there?
I'm not sure if you guys are having a tough time. I'm having a little bit of a tough time here.
I am too.
Okay.
It's so funny. Like I was like looking at our faces, like the sort of like we're trying to like not look uncomfortable, like the fact that we couldn't understand what Magda was saying.
Yes, it's a shame.
It was sort of.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was really interesting, and I wanted to hear it. You know.
Oops.
Yeah, it was really interesting, and I was really trying to grasp little details.
Oh, can you hear me?
It felt
now
it's
I
fine.
can hear you. Now it's working. Yeah.
Should I say it again?
Try.
Sure.
Yes.
It felt a bit like a David Lynch film, actually.
Okay, so let me think. I really liked how sometimes you use the projections, as you said, Carol, turning your faces into masks, sometimes using your faces as a canvas, and as Ute said, using them as a score. And for me, it had something very, very fragile, because it's also a very intimate thing to have your face being filmed so close up. And I particularly loved the duck floating around and swimming around your face, and, you know, seeing all the detail of it. And yeah, really using this simple technical tool in all its facets in such a way was really beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah, just
I
so much depth.
I agree with the intimacy part too, as well. I mean, which was an interesting thing to discover. Mm-hmm. I never really thought about that before. I mean, I always felt like when I vocalize, it's very intimate for me personally, but and to what Dave was saying about musicians not really thinking about what they look like. I think that's so true of musicians, to not really think about that. It's never been our concern. But dancers, it's their concern. And when I've worked with dancers, it's definitely, you know, sort of an issue that they talk about, which is interesting.
But it depends on the musician, no? I mean,
it does. It
there
does.
Are lots of musicians who care about, or I mean, really depends, no?
I think that I guess my personal experience has been that the improv community doesn't they're not specifically thinking about, oh, how do I look? They're going up there and improvising. Am I correct with this, Dave? I'm not trying to say anything bad about anybody.
I think it depends on the scene for sure, but I can say like most of the folks I know in Chicago are, you know, maybe not as broad-minded in thinking about, say, the visual aspects of a performance,
exactly,
or the presentation of it a lot of times. And so it is more of sort of a DIY feeling of people just get on stage and it's really more about sort of the sounds they're creating than necessarily really thinking about like a full performance and what that could all mean and be.
Yeah, and as far as like how you yourself as a musician is looking is what I'm thinking about, more than, you know, a projection on the wall while you're playing, which you are thinking visually, but thinking about how you look when you're performing is what I'm talking about. Speaking back to what you were saying earlier about acting.
Although I must say sometimes the gestures when you perform can be not so much what you look like, but the gestures you use to produce the music, a little bit going into the direction of dancing or performing on stage can be an important part, I think. But I felt that was also really beautiful with how you know, as Dave said, turned your faces and had these minute movements and gestures in there. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's like, for me, was like a constant feedback with, you know, the projection, the movements, and the vocalization also while I was filming, and it created a kind of immersive environment, which was really, it felt really nice to do that, because you were immersed in these different aspects, you know.
I think you could really feel that watching these pieces where each sort of chapter did feel like a different world in a way, you know, where like, yeah, like I'd love to be in that environment, you know, the one with like all the green, maybe you took these images in a park near your house or something, and like it just felt like a place I want to be. Yeah.
Okay, maybe this is a good time to slowly wrap it up.
Yeah.
Just thank you again so much for all the work and energy and time you've put into this.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I mean, it was really exciting for us to explore this.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And so wonderful to hear the two of you together as people I know from these, you know, two different scenes. You know, it's just a great connection to be able to witness. So thank you for doing this.
Yeah, it was great.
Thanks.
Because we have similarities, but also differences, and to kind of negotiate this and figure this out in the collaboration for me was very, very inspiring.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
I felt like I learned a lot about my approach, and you know, because we have similar sounds, but a different way of expressing them, I think. Yeah.
Great.
Great. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. And thanks to everyone who's been tuning in. And yeah, we'll hope for more from the two of you in the future.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.